My best friend betrayed me in the worst possible way. She stole my boyfriend and then tried to turn everyone against me. Now I'm left alone and heartbroken. We did the tests and she's mine. My ex had sent me a message a couple weeks before giving birth telling me about everything. My then GF and present wife saw that my ex sent me a message and deleted it, then blocked her, apparently without reading it. Ex took that as me not wanting to be involved and raised our daughter all alone. For 5 fucking years. My daughter is turning 5 in a month, and I haven't even met her. Every time I think about how much I missed out on, I just lose it. I know I must focus on what I've gained instead of what I've lost, but damn, it's hard. It's taken me 2 hours just to write this out. Don't even want to start on what my ex had to go through alone, and the desperation to reach out to my mother for help when she hates her nearly more than me. My wife says she's remorseful, that she was just very immature at the time and didn't think it could be that important, so much so she forgot about it. I've never loved anyone more than my wife. She supported me through so much. I believe that she actually feels bad and regrets it. She's pregnant, 21 weeks pregnant with our first child together. We're currently separated while I deal with everything, but I don't know how we'll move forward after this. Edit. To further elaborate, I found out through my mother, who was contacted by my ex about my daughter and how I ghosted her. I was talking to my wife about this, and she confessed about deleting it and blocking it. Update. Got some messages asking for updates, and since my post got some attention, I should publicly update. Long story short, I met with my ex last week just to properly explain myself and discuss the whole what nows. It didn't end up being productive and mostly filled with awkward silence with a few miniature arguments. Towards the end, she said that she'd been talking to a lawyer and didn't want me to be involved and will be seeking full custody of our daughter with no visitation, as well as suing me for back child support and getting me on child support. So that was fun. To be clear, I was always going to provide more than my fair share for any child of mine. I really don't know how any of this works, but I haven't received anything from the court or something, so it could have just been a threat, but she seemed serious. Regardless, I decided to find myself a lawyer to help me instead of waiting around, and eventually got linked with an old friend's brother, whom I'm meeting tomorrow, which is great. My wife and I are trying to work things out. Due to the lawyer/court situation, financially speaking, we couldn't get an actual therapist, but my wife's pastor offered to provide marriage counseling for us. We only had 2 sessions before the family drama broke out, and we temporarily put counseling on pause. Basically, the thing about my wife deleting the message leaked out to the rest of the family, which has led my wife getting uncivil messages from a couple family members. My lovely older sister also decided to add to the fire by posting about this on her FB. My wife has locked herself at home since, and is taking everything quite badly, since even her friends now know and have distanced themselves from her. I'm actually quite worried about it, but at least her mom is there with her, and I try to check on her regularly. It's all just overwhelming. When I'm not thinking about my daughter, I'm thinking about my ex. When I'm not thinking about my ex, I'm thinking about my family drama, and when I'm not thinking about that, I'm thinking about my marriage and the pregnancy. And there's still work, so it's been a really terrible week. Finding it hard to maintain optimism and excitement for my daughter when all this has happened. Just a shit situation all around. This ended up being more of a Vince so sorry about that. I probably won't give another update in future unless there's good news, so just thanks for the support. Update 2. It's quite a long story, so the more condensed version is that I've met my daughter, my ex and I handled the custody and support agreement ourselves, still signed off by the court. We're both committed to making this co-parenting thing work, and it's been going well so far. My wife and I are back at home, and both excited about her nearing due date. We decided to move on. The longer version, the last update ended with my ex threatening to fight me in court. Well, the lawyer I'd arranged suggested we give mediation a try and set that up with her lawyers and this mediator. Overall, the mediation went quite shit and seemed to be more detrimental to us ever cooperating. We only had 2 actual sessions, and both were just filled with unnecessary fighting and no resolution. Funny enough, it was the chaos at the mediation that kind of proved to both of us we weren't interested in fighting each other indefinitely, and she reached out late in the evening after the second mediation, asking to meet up the next day. In that meeting, we talked things out and listened to one another, sorted through some baggage from our relationship, as well as spoke about what exactly had been going on the past 5 years. Hours-long conversation, but it was totally worth it. We agreed that we'd make it work and put our daughter in the forefront. A meeting was arranged for me to drive over and see my daughter face to face, and I did. At the time, I wasn't introduced properly to her as her father, and she obviously was cagey around this random dude around, but it was still great seeing her that first time. She was slashed as seeing someone to help with my transition into her life. And I've since been properly introduced to her, and she started calling me Papa, so things are going stunningly smooth, and she's coping really well with it all. Plus, my ex has floated around the idea that if she could find a job/better job where I am, she'd consider moving, so distance isn't too big of a problem, though that's still a big if. For now, I'll just keep driving up to her until we're acquainted enough to allow her to make the trip to me. The last update on my wife left things at my sister posting about everything and my family fighting with my wife. My sister has removed the post and apologized to my wife, although not sincere, but still an apology. Still ongoing, but attempts of reconciling my family and wife are going more or less well. My wife momentarily moved to stay with her parent to get away from everything for about a month, but has since moved back to the house with me, as we're soon expecting the birth of our child in the up and coming weeks. All extremely excited over that, and we've worked through our issues. I'm sure most of you will be disappointed by this, but I do 100% believe my wife and trust that she isn't some conniving person. She's still the woman I love, and we're all to blame for the circumstance that led to this whole situation. All we can do is focus on the future. Big thanks to everyone who's offered their support and wishes as well as advice. I truly do appreciate all of it. And that's it. Sign off, a happy dad of almost 2.